Adequate notice of this November the 24th meeting has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board in this municipal building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, the Star Ledger, the Hanover Eagle, and by filing same with the Township Clerk. May I have a roll call, please?
On roll call, Committeeman Gallagher.
Here.
Committeeman Faramasca.
Here.
Committeeman Bruno.
Here.
Committeeman Capola. Here. And Mayor Francioli.
Here.
5 members in attendance.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, those that can, please rise and join me in a pledge of allegiance to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Isn't that nice that we can still recite that? I applaud the county. They even do an opening prayer for their meeting, which is very, very good. Okay, at this time we have something, a nice honor for the Township Committee, for one of our own. And it's an honor that I can personally say for myself, having served on the Board of Health for a short period of time I have, that it's a group of volunteer individuals on a par with none. We're here to recognize the service of Dr. John Graber. And John and I sat nearly next to each other for quite some time on the Board of Health. And this group of professionals has done so much to put Hanover Township on the map. I'm not just saying here in our own local town, but the services that we extend ourselves to in other communities, and the recognition that we've gotten through our Board of Health, and certainly through Dr. Van Orden on the state level, is just exemplary. Today we're going to present John with a plaque. He is leaving our Board of Health, and I meet that with mixed emotions, but then again, I know the commitment of time that it takes for you to be at that meeting and on those meetings, and the extra work that everyone does on that group. And so John, I'd like to, on behalf of the Township Committee, I'd like to present you with this plaque. I'm going to read it into the record, and then we'll present it for you. It's presented to you by the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, County of Morris, in the state of New Jersey. To yourself, Dr. John Graber, DMD. Grateful recognition of 9 years of dedicated service to the residents of Hanover Township as a member of our Board of Health, and it's dated this day. And I'm going to come forward and present it to you at this time. Thank you. Lively conversations that this board has, you know, you can't believe it. Photograph of you there. Here's one for Jim Laney. What do you do with your extra time? You and John Tork going to collaborate on something? Oh, yes. John sits at the other side of me on this board, so I'm here in support.
Nice. Thank you all very much.
John,
It's been my pleasure.
Best. What do you do? What do you do with the extra time now?
We have a ranch up in the township.
That works.
That works.
That works. John, the best of luck. The best of luck. All right. And where's my Director of Public Works? There he is. Okay. On this presentation here, John, where are you? John Sisek. There you go. Sit in the back there. Okay. John, on this presentation here, this isn't 9 years. This is 25 years of dedicated service to our township. 25 years as a member of the Department of Public Works, Buildings and Ground, and Park Maintenance, and it's a pleasure. We have employees that have such longevity with us and such dedicated to Hanover. That's what makes this town, I'll tell you. Between the volunteers and the staffing that we have. I mean, we may arm wrestle and hassle over for a few little things, but in the end, they do a fantastic job. And John, it's a pleasure to be able to present you this plaque for your service to us on your retirement after 25 years to the Township of Hanover. So, John, come on forward here. I'm going to
John, does this mean I won't see you driving by the window? Does this mean I won't see you driving by the county window when I'm down there?
Might eat you on Wednesday, John. There's snow on the way. One last time, we can't get any more storms. It's not happening, huh? Sped up your retirement request.
You got enough salt in that shit?
You don't know for now.
Okay, John, thank you. Thank you, very good. As long as you get to those hills first, that's all. You can get to work. All right, at this time, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to open the floor to the public for any items not appearing on the agenda. Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open. Anyone would like to address the Township Committee can do so at this time from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record. Seeing none?
Move we close.
Here, up.
Up.
John, do you want to?
What do you wait?
Okay.
Hi, my name is David Bernhout.
Oh, lift that microphone right up. There you go.
My name is David. I'm a vice chairman with Cushman & Wakefield, real estate brokerage company, and I'm here tonight on behalf of a corporate client of ours that is looking for a build-to-suit in the Whippany.
Can't hear you.
That is looking for a build-to-suit. Is this on?
Is it on? Did they fix that amp system yet?
I can talk loud.
No, that's okay. We've been having trouble with this amplification system. I apologize. But you want to boost that up? Yeah. You have a soft voice and a long distance.
Okay. It's a long day.
We'll give that a shot. Go ahead.
Is this better?
I think so.
I can go where.
There you go.
So our thing is that you're looking at rezoning the property, the south campus. It's known as 67 Whippany Road. And our corporate client is involved in negotiating a lease for a build-to-suit on that campus with the expectation of it becoming a mixed-use environment. And as part of the corporation's new workforce initiative, really to attract talent and to maintain that talent. We've done an extensive search, and part of what's attracted the company to this location is that we've been promised a mixed-use environment, in particular, and residential, which they feel is particularly important to being able to attract that millennium generation we all hear about, and to get the workforce and maintain the type of workforce that they're looking for. So their plan is to build a Class A, or to have built for them a Class A environment, fully amenitized, but as part of a community and as part of a mixed-use environment. So they've asked that we come out and speak on their behalf. My partner and I represent them. It's a Eastern Morris County corporation that's looking, for a build-to-suit and would like to stay within the county.
To the extent that I can comment, I would say that the Planning Board has given a great deal of time to looking at a mixed use on that and examined it. And I think later in the course of this meeting, I think we'll comment further on it. But again, we're fully aware of the concept for that area, for that South Campus, and we have gone through an exhaustive amount of time, both on a planning board level and a committee level, to give consideration to what the proposal is. So again, the Director of Planning will have a comment on that, shortly.
Okay.
Anyone else would like to be heard at this time? Hearing none?
Motion
Seeing
to
none?
close. Oh,
Motion to
this
close?
gentleman.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Peter Geffens,
54 Woodland Ave, Whippany. I'm here with my wife this evening. We have a major issue with the Ukrainian church on Jefferson Road that is adjacent to our home on Woodland Avenue. And it's been going on for many, many years. We have logged approximately 90 noise complaints with the Hanover Township Police Department. And they keep coming back and telling us the same story every time, that it's out of their hands and they can't do anything about it, and that we need to come to you because you approved it and you're allowing it to go on. I think it's kind of bizarre to be arguing with a police officer at 1:45 a.m. in the morning about what's an acceptable level of noise. So I don't know how the noise ordinance is written. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if the Birchwood is allowed to have events after 11 p.m. or the Legion or the VFW or anyone like that without special permits. Most recently in September, we called with a noise complaint around 9. The police came, like they do many times, and they tell them to turn the music down. And they come back and tell them to turn the music down. But nobody will issue tickets because it is a church. And on that particular evening in September, we called, and then at 10 after 12, the fire department was there because somebody pulled an alarm. And at 10 after 2, I called to report a fight in the parking lot, at which time the police responded and were assaulted by somebody who was attending a party. They have these loud disco parties, they have Latino parties, and I'm actually glad Mr. Gallagher is here because he's a musician and understands how music travels and how bass travels. And it goes through walls and bedrooms, and I have a 3.5-year-old and a 6-year-old, and we have had, I made some notes here with my wife, and this is going back, and this is in no particular order. They had a circus going back about 5 years. There was 6 or 8 campers in the parking lot, out-of-town travelers sleeping in the parking lot, which I know is against the town ordinance. And then they took all the poles, the circus tent, and packed the trailers with them. You know, hollow poles, ding, ding, for 3 hours. Police did nothing about it. We have had multiple trespassing issues. People wander into our backyard. They play on our swing set. We asked some children where they were from. They are from Clifton. They are from Patterson. They're not from Whippany. Not that there's any people from those areas, but they're not from. We were having a fire one night in our chimney in the backyard. 3 people wandered into our backyard at 9 p.m. There with my family. Where are you from? We're next door to the church. Okay, we called the police. The police told me that I should have a no trespassing sign on the edge of my property to keep people from trespassing on my property. This is ludicrous. When the parties are 12, 1, 2, 2:30, 2:45, they take the recycling out to the garbage. You know, we all know, like when we do our own, a wine bottle, a couple of beer bottles, and, you know, whatever. Imagine 100 or 150 beers at 2 o'clock in the morning. Let's see. Constant people, they use their car alarms to locate their cars in the parking lot at 1:30 in the morning. When the party's over, some people carry the party in the parking lot. They open up the trunk of their car and they play music. On a particular evening when the gentleman was arrested, that was at 10, and at 20 to 3, we had to call the police back because the DJs were loading the equipment into their van, and they had the music thing out of the van. And we had to call the officers back, and the dispatcher, well, what do you want me to do? I said, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. this is unacceptable. I'm assuming this is the first time any of you have heard of any of this?
To this extent, yes.
Okay. Just recently, Saturday evening, I witnessed the fight. I have video of it on my phone. I have a voice recording of it. There was about 8 or 9 boys, full-on brawl in the parking lot. It was loud enough that we heard it inside. Had to go out. I had the police there earlier around 9 o'clock with a noise complaint. They told me it was completely acceptable. I said, the bass is so loud that there's chains rattling on my kitchen table. Said it's completely acceptable. Another name. He said, well, it goes to the decibel rating. Sir, what's the decibel rating? He goes, I don't know. Where's the meter? He goes, there's nobody on staff to use it. Going back. We arrive home Saturday night around 9 o'clock. There is a car in the dead end. I walk over, make sure everything's okay. He said he was there because I believe from you and or the chief. And he was told that he needed to make sure there was another Latino dance party and that the noise was excessive. Now, the reason I bring that was an officer on duty to protect the Township of Hanover, and he was by the church. A little further investigating and talking to the officer, he said nobody would take the overtime on the department. Furthermore, I ran into a sheriff 2 days later at the Quick Check, and he said he was offered the overtime, but had a personal engagement and no it. So we, as residents of this township, pay indirectly for security for them to have a Latino on the taxpayer's dime and not on the dime of the Ukrainian. And I don't care that people outside of, and they should have on-site security. I mean, this is an I have the police there, and they said, why would you build a house next to this? Why would you knowingly build a house next to this? Is that a reasonable to say to me?
No.
I mean, I really wish I didn't have to be here to have, and the disruption that has caused my, my children, my son, concern when the police are at the house, which is very understandable. And Daddy, are you going to be arrested? And we had a cop there Saturday night. He was full with me. I mean, my front lawn with me that it was acceptable level of noise. And, I don't know, I have my wife printed email that we sent to them. I would like, if I can, to give it to you guys, and maybe you can make copies. And,
What I'm going to recommend, that's quite a tale.
okay, I that if you don't mind me approaching with some pictures.
Sure.
Okay. I'm making a big mistake doing this, but I have to do what I need to do.
Well, why do you? Well,
This was June 21st, okay?
yeah,
Police were on the property 3 times,
right.
okay? No tickets were issued. Those cars are parked both directions in a fire zone. If there was ever a fire truck could never get in there. There's another fire hydrant. No tickets issued. And I know I'm going to regret doing this, but I need to do what I need to do. I don't know why the police
Well,
department
I don't think
can't.
I don't think you have to say that you're going to regret. I mean, I think what we want to do is, look, we have.
So I guess what I'm just trying to indemnify my complaint, so that it's, I'm not some lunatic, and so the police department, and they were asked, and they said, mind your own business. Really? So.
Let us look into this in the following manner. Right? The first thing we'll do is check the records with not only our police department but with our property maintenance officer to see what kind of issues have been reported and that we have on the site. Secondly, that we'll make a recommendation that either L.D. Simone and/or Sean meet with Father Roman and other persons of the church and learn a little bit more about this.
And if I could just excuse you for,
Pardon me?
if I could just excuse you for 1 second. When we were, I believe it was 2005, that they were building a church/community center, we sat down, what, we're not going to go to the Board of Adjustment meeting because it's a church, we're going to leave it alone. Well, the church was constructed and completed last year. The community center was done first. And, you know, I'm not here Bell complaining. I'm not complaining about their annual fair, which we don't go to, but I understand is a very good time. You know, we're starting to get concerned with things kind of escalating and you know, getting worse. And I don't think I need to elaborate on that. Furthermore, when they were erecting the church, I came to this very room, and I just to put it out in the air to the Board of Adjustment of what was going on with the noise at the time. And the priest said, if you think the noise is bad, you should hear it from me. About a year ago, I filed again, came to court, and the judge didn't have a decibel reading. And at that point, the priest was asked if he hears any noise. He said he never heard a noise through this. Yet he was here and recorded in the Board of Adjustment meeting.
I'm gonna stop you, because we're getting into he said, she said, hearsay.
Well, it's all fact.
I can't deal with that, okay? So what the township's gonna do is, we're gonna immediately look into this. We're gonna look into it through our property maintenance officers and through our building inspectors and code. We want to see the level of complaints we've got. And we'll, by the way, we'll be looking into this, George, with our police department as well. George is Director of Public Safety. And what we may have to do is bring in members of their church council or whoever is the powers to be over there, whether it's Father Roman and some of his members, etc., and bring these regardless of name, no names, nothing comes into that, but the level of complaints that I'm hearing here has to be answered, you know, by them. And if we find that we can substantiate much of what you're saying, and I'm don't for one moment doubt what you're saying, then the township will take proper legal action, whether or not the township has been known to take property owners into its own municipal court. So give us the opportunity to look into it.
Yeah, we did a search on their banquet facility, and it came up on a nightclub website as a cheap alternative to a bar. So,
Well,
you can,
it doesn't.
That's
make
a
me,
fact.
It doesn't make me feel good, but we all.
I'm going to give you these emails.
Yeah, we all are aware that they do have a banquet facility there. It's supposed to be adjunctive to the church itself. I don't know how we should feel advertising it as a commercial facility for rent, but that's beside the point.
Well, I guess you guys can take care of that.
Okay, I will.
Can I take a
All
look
right,
at that,
Jim.
man?
Ron, I just want to ask Pete one question.
Yeah.
Pete, in the beginning, you said that you have, if I heard you correctly, 90 complaints?
Yeah.
Over what period of time?
I want 6 years, and just have to discount the fact that we were out of the house for 9 months while it was under construction. So there was, I tried to get that information from Detective Sino today, and he was gone by the time I got back to police. So I wasn't able to,
I think we need an opportunity to corroborate what we're hearing here through the buildings department.
Absolutely.
And through L.D. Simone, through property maintenance, and then once we can pull that all together, I think it may require, probably will require, bringing in church officials and sitting down and discussing this and see what we're going to do about it. Because if Our understanding is that the community center and cultural center was adjunctive to the Ukrainian church and its uses, et cetera. If they're using it in a far more high-profile commercial way, then I think we've got to know that, and then there are going to be other regulations that we're going to find out that they're either abiding by or they're not, and if we're not, then we'll take appropriate action, you know. Give us an opportunity to look into it, and you can stay in touch with the administrator. I'll let you know where we are along the way with it. Getting into a little holiday days here.
No, I understand.
Whatever, so I can't promise you we're going to get back to you this week, but I do have a policy of wanting to take immediate action on any complaints like this, so you could hope must get by or
You have a
before
reputation for getting things done.
We'll try and get some answers from our side of the desk as soon as we can for you.
All right. Thank you very much for listening, and
Thanks for coming
thank you in advance for all your help.
I'm sorry you had to bring that to our attention, but thanks for coming in.
All right. Have a great Thanksgiving, guys.
I got a meeting, Mayor, I got a meeting with the chief tomorrow, too.
I'm sorry, George.
I got a meeting with the chief in the morning.
Yeah, and see what kind of
I'm gonna
complaints.
set a start discussion.
The chief is aware of the situation.
All right.
I've talked to him at Esposito's meat market a couple of times about it.
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to be heard at this time? Hearing none, seeing none, motion for
So
close.
moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Mr. Administrator?
We have a letter, ladies and gentlemen, from Edward Bucherri, Township's plumbing subcode official. He writes, "Dear Mr. Giorgio, please be advised I will be retiring from my position as plumbing subcode official effective December 31st, 2014. My last day in office will be December 30th. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the public for all these years. Very truly yours, Edward Bucherri." May we have a motion to accept the letter of retirement?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Bruno, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Okay, as we continue, ladies and gentlemen, we have the approval of the Township Committee regular minutes of November 13th, 2014. May we have a motion
So moved.
on approval?
Second.
So moved by Mr. Faramasca, seconded by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for approval, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So approved. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one late item, which may not appear on your agenda this evening. It is the introduction of a land use and development ordinance. It's docketed as Land Use Ordinance Number 44-14. It amends and supplements Chapter 166 of the Code entitled Land Use and Development Legislation by adding an alternative mixed-use development option for the TC Town Center Zone District. This ordinance will be further considered for public hearing and final passage at the Township Committee meeting on December 22nd at 8:30 p.m. here in the main meeting room. And at that time, any person wishing to be heard concerning the ordinance will be given the opportunity to be heard. The ordinance and the notice of introduction will be published in full in the Daily Record in accordance with law. And pursuant to the municipal land use law, the ordinance will be transmitted to the Hanover Township Planning Board for referral, for review and recommendation. So at this time, may we have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
So moved by
Second.
Mr. Faramasca, seconded by Mr. Bruno. Roll call for introduction. Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
So introduced. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue, we have the resolutions as a consent agenda. We have only 5 resolutions. Are there any questions from members of the governing body concerning any of the resolutions?
Move to be approved.
We have a motion by Mr. Capola.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gallagher. On roll call for approval, Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
And Mr. Francioli.
Aye.
Now, on raffle applications, again, as a consent agenda item, raffle application 2802, Our Lady of Mercy Church Holy Name Society, a calendar raffle, and raffle application 2803, Pope John the 23rd High School, a 50/50 on premise. Okay, we have a motion for
So
approval.
moved.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So approved. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, that clears the agenda of the Administrator, Township Clerk, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, okay. Gentlemen, is there any other business from the Township Committee at this time?
Just two quick ones. This Friday night, Hanover Youth Nights for grades 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th will be at the Florham Park Roller Rink at 8 p.m. We have Paulie G's now part of our crew supplying pizza for all our kids. Should be a good time. The second Substance Awareness Council event for this weekend, it's the first time we have two events in one weekend, is Hanover Township's own American Martial Arts has been working with one of our Girl Scouts to achieve her Gold Award, and she's doing basically a dry run of her self-defense seminar that she's going to be performing at the high school. Everyone's welcome to come check it out, and it will be from 2 to 3 o'clock this Saturday at American Martial Arts. That's it.
Very good, very good. Okay, Bob?
From our Department of Public Works, there is snow in the forecast for Wednesday, hard to believe. The winter that never ended last year is starting early this year. Plows are ready to go, on of salt, but even though it's one of the biggest travel days of the year, we just want to ask everyone to, if at all possible, please stay off the roads. I know there's still some leaves that need to be picked up, and adding snow and potentially some rain to the mix could cause for some dangerous travel. So once again, if at all possible, if the weather does come in as predicted, we just ask everybody to only get out on the roads if absolutely necessary. Thank you.
Timing couldn't be better, right before Thanksgiving, right? Son of a gun. George?
Yes, just two things. The first one is our senior luncheon is on the 17th of December. Look forward to anyone that's interested in attending. Also, this past Saturday, the Landmark Commission had a forum over at the community center. First of all, I thank the committee for their support, and I thank the mayor and John Fermaska for coming there Saturday morning. The mayor opened up the event, which was extremely well received. There was over 200 people there. It was due to go on from 9 o'clock to 1. They exceeded it to 1:25, but folks did not finally leave till 4 o'clock.
Wow.
And there wasn't one piece of food left over. And we thought we ordered too much. So the fact that the ironworks and what it represented and the historical significance was amazing to see the number of people who had so much historical knowledge that we actually had to cut them short. Otherwise, we could get one or two people that would talk forever and ever. In order to allow, there was quite a few people making presentations, but everything went extremely well. And again, I personally, as liaison to the commission, thank the committee for all your support. Without your support, we could never do the things we're doing. So, thank you very much.
It was a great job, George. It was incredibly well done, very professional.
They did. A lot of participation from our library on through, and it was a very successful day. Happy to be a part of it. It was very good. Okay, John, anyone else at this
Yes,
time?
Mayor, I'd like to address the South Campus zoning change request. Committee members, we've received a request from the owners of South Campus requesting a rezoning of the property for a variety of future development uses. This is not a development application, which would be filed with the Board of Adjustment or the Planning Board. It's simply a request of the Township Committee, which is the governing body, to consider from a legislative and policy-making standpoint a rezoning of this subject property. It's a consensus of the Township Committee that at this time, there's no desire to rezone the property from its existing office, business, research lab, OBRL zone designation. Certainly, the South Campus is an important integral part of the future of Hanover Township, and the governing body is not interested in pursuing such a change at this time. Accordingly, I'm asking for a motion
stating that the business administrator notify the property owner that the governing body is not interested in rezoning the property at this time.
Motion?
Have a motion?
Second?
A second by Mr. Bruno. On roll call based on the motion, Mr. Gallagher,
Aye.
Mr. Faramasca.
Aye.
Mr. Bruno.
Aye.
Mr. Capola.
Aye.
Mr. Franciolo.
Aye. Okay, any other comments from committee members at this time? If not, I'm going to motion to open the floor once again.
Second.
Moving second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the floor is open again. Anyone who would like to address the Township Committee can do so from the podium, giving us your name and address for the record.
Hello, how are you? My name is Kamal Anakin, 19 South Bel Air Avenue and 40 Nye Avenue. The beginning of the year, I asked for Dennis Avenue to be vacated, and if it was your interest to be vacated.
Right.
And I think May, it was introduced, the ordinance. May 22nd, it was introduced, and it was adopted July 10th. Now, I just want to know, is it technically a road still, or is it a piece of property that the township owns?
Joe, you want to field that question?
Well, Mr. Andekin knows that there's been a delay
Yes.
in perfecting the vacation because there was some dispute, well, I don't even want to say dispute, but some concern about whether or not we could get the necessary sewer easements through the adjacent property owner being the Birchwood Manor and yourself. We were able to get those sewer easements, but the question that arose in the end was whether or not the township actually owned the roadbed. And if you recall, when you were in my office about 2 weeks ago, I contacted Mr. Samrow. Mr. Samrow said he would look at the title search, which Mr. Samrow has. I gave you a copy of the title
Yes,
search
I
as
have
you
that.
requested, which you paid for.
Yes, I paid for it, yep.
And as late as last Friday, I spoke to Mr. Samrow, and he promised me he would get me a legal opinion on whether or not the township owned the roadbed.
Okay.
And again, I spoke to him this morning, and he promised me he was still researching that question. So as of this morning, he was still looking into it, and he promised me he would get me an answer.
Yeah, my question is, like, being it's adopted, is it a road still, or it's not a road? That's what I'm just trying to
Well,
understand.
the ordinance vacating the road,
Yes.
as you know, Kamal,
Yes.
is recorded in the Morris County Clerk's office.
That's when it's final.
Right, the two sewer easement agreements were forwarded to Mr. Samrow. We just got them from the HSA 3 weeks ago. They
Yep.
were forwarded to Mr. Samrow for recording. But the remaining question is whether or not the township owns the roadbed. If the township owns the roadbed, then we have to divide it in half between yourself and the Birchwood Manor. Then we have to do deeds to yourself and the Birchwood Manor. If it is not roadbed owned by the township, which our learned township engineer says it is not, then it's simply a matter of just dividing it right down the middle and without any deed, from what I understand.
Yeah,
So that's the whole purpose of why Mr. Samrow is still looking into the
Yeah.
title search.
In 1990, the Birchwood Manor vacated the eastern portion of Dennis Avenue, which is partially on my property now, and it was vacated. And it seemed like, it was 1990, and it was done. I just don't know why it's taking so long.
Well, I think it's a different situation in terms of the ownership of the roadbed. And for the record, you know, Mr. Donlin will not issue any permits to
Yes,
you until he
I
gets
totally
an answer from Mr. Samrow. So it's nice to come to the Township Committee and we can recite all this history, but you've been in my office about a dozen times.
No, I was
and
just
keep
curious
telling
on
you
no
over and
one,
over, I'm doing my part as best I can.
I told,
Mr. Samrow gives me an answer, Mr. Donlin will not issue those permits.
okay. I was just wondering the adoption of it being vacated or not.
And I gave you that answer a number of weeks
Okay,
ago.
all right, thank you.
It's difficult sometimes for us to understand the procedures that the township has to go through in order to assure either ownerships of property, et cetera, et cetera. It's not as academic as us just wanting to go and then having a deed drawn up. So it gets frustrating and complicated, but the township certainly, has to do the proper, go through proper procedures on this. The floor is still open. If anybody else would like to address the Township Committee at this time?
Mr. Mayor, we would like to, Ross Chomick from Vision Real Estate Partners.
Ross, you got to shout in that microphone.
Apparently this doesn't work. We would like the committee, Ross Chomick, Vision Partners, I'm asking if you could for a minute. I didn't want this to get closed. We're, some members of our team.
You need,
please.
Okay, we can stay open for a little bit longer, right? A few moments.
Mr. Neidhart, do you have anything to share with us this evening while we're waiting? Strictly an observer tonight?
I didn't see anything on the agenda except a couple of awards, and I didn't want the people to be here all alone and nobody clapping, so.
That's very considerate. Thank you.
Well, you diplomatic best. We appreciate that.
What's this here?
We should take this moment on camera here to wish everybody in Hanover Township and all of our friends, neighbors, and relatives to have a very safe, happy Thanksgiving with their families and enjoy the day.
Stay home.
Stay possible. If Wednesday is everything that our weather forecasters say it is, and I hope they're wrong, then, enjoy the comfort and warmth of your home, that's for sure.
Best place to be. Dorothy famously said, "There's no place like home." Still in time, right, Joe?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
It's okay now?
What? These microphones...
It really doesn't work well at all.
Have an amplifier on the water there.
Would you like me to speak loud?
Use your public speaking voice.
Okay. Ross Chomick, Vision Real Estate Partners, 49 Bloomfield Avenue, Mountain Lakes. Mr. Mayor and Committee, I just want to say at this time I don't know how else to say it, but to voice some displeasure from all the time and effort we've put in on South Campus, as Mr. Fairmosca just addressed. You do not want to move forward with the rezoning. I mean, it's over a year and 6 months since a subcommittee was formed from your planning board, and we met in your offices here. I believe we had about 4 meetings where we massaged, tweaked layouts, time, money spent with consultants, working through, all the multiple uses of the South Campus. And to go through that process for about 6 months, and then for the discussion just to cease late last November, about a year to the date. Then to be picked up again, most recently with the corporate tenant that, we're under confidentiality to speak about it, but from what I gathered, there's not a person up on that platform who doesn't know who I'm talking about. And you have a representative here from that tenant to come here to explain that they have looked regionally, taking jobs out of state, and this is a site they want to be at, and not only for the building that they want to construct, which I believe I articulated in a meeting in your room back here, but because of what they want for the South Campus, and they want to be in that environment. And there's many reasons they want to be in that environment, and yes, residential is one of the uses that's important to them. I guess we just don't understand why it's come to this abrupt decision to not even pursue 100 acre of your town. And I don't know what else to say other than, we're very confused, and we want to actually understand, what has occurred from all the various discussions that we've had with your committee.
I think the only comment, Ross, that I can give is you're absolutely right in the phases that we had gone through to give this particular area, this zone, this South Campus, a fair review of uses. And being an OBRL zone since the early days of Bell Labs when it was on there, and must go back 50, 75 years or more, I think that in the end, the planning board and subcommittee looked at all the potential uses on that property, and I must tell you that some of those uses still remain very, very attractive to us. But in the end, I think it was their decision and their recommendation, as well as that of colleagues here on the Township Committee, that it's moved very well over the years as an OBRL, office building zone. It's very much established in that way, and they did not feel any particular necessity to alter that in any way. You know, while it's still attractive uses in an OBRL zone, even for the kind of corporate uses that are being proposed today. So I think that's the only explanation I can give you.
Just want to make one final point, and I want to really address what might be a misnomer. We have come...
Ross, I can just about...
We had come to regarding trying to get a grading for that corporate user that we've discussed because of the tight timeline. To me, that is nothing different than what occurred there. You may some of the members of this committee weren't even committed, but at risk we moved in that agreement with them prior to having zone change done for that project, if you all remember. Partner in a former life did with just across the way. So the fact at risk, and I don't know if you really at risk financially, if you try to have a corporate tenant who's in come to this site, rezoned, I can't know what's going to happen. I have a clear understanding, but I'm committee we're doing that project no matter what the case. I don't, but it is a problem tonight with a representative in the room that this committee contain any rezoning in the South Campus. That's the best I could say. To voice and just say that, you know, we have a problem with the tenant.
The only answer I can give you is that if it's all predicated upon the mixed use, etc., then the township has examined that, considered that, etc., and has given you their answer that they feel that the property will prosper as an OBRL and still attract corporates, you know, if not this, another, and they are rather firm in their position at this point of that remaining OBRL.
Very good.
Thank you.
I guess just to finalize, and I know you know, just to point it out that, you know, we are, that site is, as you all know, and a component is the traffic concern that has been voiced by your committee, and undoubtedly there isn't, I don't think the committee or the person who have voiced that traffic would be greatly improved by having the mixed use there. That being said, to an extent that we the guideline, traffic report, the senior living, the units. Thank you.
Any other comment? Any other comment from the public at this time?
Motion to close.
Hearing none.
So moved.
Motion to close?
So
All in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion for adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourn? Same.
Jim, happy Thanksgiving.
Same. Okay, we got some business yet.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
Joe, you have the summary?
John, how are you?
Yes.
So we gonna get snow or what?
I saw it rise.